the letter that never came. Every small town has a place where people quietly carry their sadness, a bench by a river, a tea stall on a dusty corner, a window that looks out at nothing in particular. In the town of Meherpur, that place was the post office. It was an old building with pale yellow walls and a wooden counter worn smooth by 60 years of hands. The ceiling fan moved slowly, as if it too was tired. The smell was of paper and ink and something harder to name, maybe waiting. The kind of waiting that never quite ends. The postmaster was a man named Karim Sahib. He was 62 years old, thin and serious, with reading glasses always pushed up on his forehead and never on his nose, where they were actually needed. He had worked in that post office for 34 years. He knew every family in the town, every address, every name. But there was one name he had never been able to forget. Her name was Surya. Surya came to the post office every single Saturday morning. She was perhaps 70 years old, small, quiet, with white hair and a green shawl she wore in every season, rain or shine. She walked slowly with a wooden cane, and she always arrived at exactly the same time. Just after 8, when the doors first opened and the light was still soft and golden through the front window. She would stand at the counter, fold her hands on the worn wood, and say the same thing every week. "Karim Sahib, is there a letter for me, from my son Rashed?" And every week, Karim Sahib would check. He would go through the pile of letters with great care, even when he already knew what he would find, or rather, what he would not find. He would look through every envelope, every package, every slip of paper. And then he would turn to Surya with a soft expression and say, "Not today, Amma, but perhaps next week." Surya would nod slowly. She would say, "Yes, perhaps next week." And then she would turn and walk home, her cane tapping on the stone path outside. This had been going on for 11 years. Karim Sahib had learned Surya's story piece by piece, the way you learn most things in a small town, through conversations, through neighbors, through the things people say when they think no one important is listening. Rashed was her only son. He had been a bright boy, everyone agreed on that. Sharp mind, good heart, always reading. When he was 23, he left Meherpur to study in Dhaka. He wrote letters home every month at first, then every 2 months, then once a year, then nothing. People said he had done well for himself in the city. They said he had a good job, a flat, maybe a wife. They said he had become the kind of person who is very busy and very important and has no time to look back. Nobody said the part that everyone was thinking, that he had simply forgotten his mother. But Surya did not believe that. She could not believe it. She came to the post office every Saturday because she believed, truly, deeply believed, that one day a letter would come. That Rashed would sit down at a table somewhere in Dhaka, pick up a pen and write to her. That he would say he was sorry for the silence, that he missed home, that he was coming back. She believed this the way some people believe in the first rains of summer, not because they can prove it, but because they cannot imagine a world where it does not happen. One Saturday in November, something unusual happened. A young man walked into the post office just behind Surya. He was perhaps 25, wearing a collared shirt, carrying a small bag. He looked around the old post office the way people look at places from their childhood, with recognition and something close to guilt. Karim Sahib noticed him immediately. He noticed everything, but he turned first to Surya, as always. "Karim Sahib," she said in her gentle, unhurried voice, "is there a letter for me, from my son Rashed?" Behind her, the young man went very still. Karim Sahib looked past Surya for just a moment, one brief glance at the young man, and then he looked back at her. He reached under the counter and pulled out a small envelope. He held it carefully, as if it were made of something fragile. "Yes, Amma," he said quietly. "Today there is." Surya's hands trembled as she took the envelope. She looked at it for a long time. Then she pressed it gently to her chest, closed her eyes, and breathed out, the long, slow breath of someone who has been holding something inside for a very long time. "I knew," she whispered. "I knew he would write." She did not open the letter there. She tucked it carefully inside her shawl, thanked Karim Sahib, and walked slowly out of the post office into the morning light. The young man at the back of the room had not moved. His eyes were red. His jaw was tight. When the door closed behind Surya, he walked to the counter. "That was my mother," he said. His voice was low and unsteady. Karim Sahib looked at him over his reading glasses. He said nothing. "I came back to I don't know why I came back," the young man said. He set his bag down on the floor. "I got busy. I got caught up in work in the city and just living. And the weeks became months and the months became years, and every time I thought about writing, I thought it has been too long now. She must be angry. She must hate me." He paused. "So I didn't write. It felt easier not to." Karim Sahib was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "She has come here every Saturday for 11 years. The young man closed his eyes. "Every week," Karim Sahib continued, his voice gentle but steady. "Rain, heat, the floods 2 years ago, she still came. She walked with her cane through mud up to her ankles. I told her to stay home. She said, 'What if the letter comes and no one is here to receive it?'" The young man put his face in his hands. Karim Sahib waited. He was good at waiting. 34 years in a post office will teach you that. After a while, the young man looked up. "The letter," he said. "The one you gave her. There was no letter I never wrote. So where did that envelope come from?" Karim Sahib was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached under the counter and brought out a small stack of envelopes. They were all the same, plain white, no stamp, no return address. Just one name written on each one in careful handwriting, Surya Begum. "I wrote them," said Karim Sahib simply. "Every few months, when she looked more tired than usual, when the rains were bad and I worried she might not come back." The young man stared at the envelopes. "What did you write?" "Simple things, that her son was well, that he was working hard, that he thought of her, that he was sorry for the silence but that his love for her had never changed." Karim Sahib paused. "I do not know if those things are true, but I know they are what she needed to hear." The young man was silent for a very long time. Outside, the sounds of the town went on, a bicycle, a child calling out. The distant noise of the market waking up. Normal sounds. Ordinary Saturday morning sounds. The kind of sounds that exist in a world where mothers wait and sons forget, and old postmasters write letters that were never sent. "Does she know?" the young man finally asked. "Does she know they are not real?" Karim Sahib thought about this carefully. "I think," he said at last, "that she has always known. But she needed something to hold, something to believe in. The letter was not about the paper. It was about the possibility that you might still be the son she raised, that the door had not closed forever." The young man picked up his bag. He walked to the door. Then he stopped. "Which way is her house?" he asked. Karim Sahib told him. He nodded once and walked out into the morning. Karim Sahib stood at the window and watched the young man walk down the road. The same road his mother had walked down just minutes before, tapping her cane on the stones, holding an envelope close to her heart. He watched until the young man turned a corner and was gone. Then he went back to his counter, sat down in his old chair, and straightened the pile of letters. The ceiling fan turned slowly overhead. The morning light moved across the worn wooden floor. He thought about all the things that people wait for: letters, phone calls, apologies, a knock on the door from someone they thought had forgotten them. He thought about how waiting can keep a person alive, how hope, even small and uncertain hope, is sometimes the only thing standing between a person and despair. He did not know what would happen when the young man reached his mother's door. He did not know if she would open it. He did not know if the right words would come, or if they would stand there in silence, two people separated by years of distance and pride, and the simple human failure of not knowing how to begin again. But he knew this. The young man was walking toward her, and sometimes that is enough to start. That evening, just before closing time, someone slipped a piece of paper under the post office door. Karim Sahib picked it up. It was not an official letter. It had no stamp, no address. Just 3 words written in simple handwriting. She let me in. Karim Sahib folded the paper carefully and placed it in his chest pocket, close to his heart. He turned off the lights. He locked the door. And for the first time in 11 years, he walked home feeling that Saturday had given something back. Moral of the story: it is never too late to walk back to the people who waited for you. Pride and distance and busyness can steal years from us, but they cannot take away the moment we choose to return. And to the people waiting, your hope is not foolish. It is the most powerful thing you carry. Thank you for watching.